so much for joining, watching this video. We have here wonderful couple, Shashikar Prabhu from India and Victoria Mataji from US. They got recently married, like 8 months ago. 8 months?
6 months.
6 months ago,
Six
yeah.
months ago, yeah, half year back, and they look like they married previous lifetimes, many lifetimes. In this video, we will ask them questions regarding their marriage life, and I have so many questions prepared for them. So it's like interview for them, job interview. To Victoria Mataji, why did you marry Indian? Like, do you have any?
Okay. Well, it wasn't about wanting to marry an Indian, actually. I really liked Shashi, and I liked kind of the culture that we were interested in together. So it wasn't really about him being Indian ever. It was just kind of like we clicked, it worked, and here we are. But one thing that I really admire about Indian culture, or actually Vedic culture, is the loyalty in a marriage. And my background, actually, I come from a family with divorced parents, and it was very hard growing up, having to deal with that. And I knew that when I was pursuing a marriage that I didn't want to have that for my family. And it was very important to me to find somebody who would be loyal and would want to stick through it despite any hardships. So that was one quality that's very, very important to me, and one thing that I immediately saw in Shashi, and so it worked. But yes, I know that that's one thing that's very, very prominent in Vedic culture.
Yeah, I think we are in the same shoes. So, yeah, same background. Thank you so much. And what about you, Shashikar? Why did you marry an American?
I did not. I was never thinking I was gonna marry an American to begin with. And I was, when I started talking to Victoria, my intention was to give her the book. I gave her the book, The Journey Within. And, when I was talking to her, I realized that she's very spiritually inclined. Yeah, it was not about her being American or not American. It's just that I really liked her as a person.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing about Victoria that I really liked when I was talking to her is that, I always felt like, she's more Indian than Indian. Indian living in America, like the values that she had. Unfortunately, I can't talk about everyone in India, but in general, I feel she already had those qualities without even being Indian. Our interests aligned, how she was also inclined towards bhakti. And that's what really inspired me to marry her. And I felt, that I can safely continue my spiritual life with her without any, because we were, that was the important aspect for me. Like if I was to marry, I wanted to continue my devotional life. And in fact, Victoria is now inspiring me more to do more devotional service than I used to. And it feels like a safe space to practice devotional service in her association.
Yeah, that's great to know. Like, do you have some differences, and are you working on to come up with win-win solutions?
Okay, so yeah, we have some differences. We come from very, very different backgrounds. So there are some things that are like, we're so conditioned to do a certain action or have a certain attitude towards something that we don't really know about until you share the space with another partner. So for us, I think it was, I feel like I'm simple, but I guess I'm a little bit more materialistic than Shashi is. So when we moved in together, it was kind of a shock for him. He's like, well, we need this couch, we need this frame, we need this thing, we need that thing. And I'm like, yeah, we need these things because it's part of making a house a home. But those first couple of months together were very difficult because it was hard for him to see that my intention was to make this a home that we can enjoy and feel comfortable in. But his intention was we should save money and only have things that are essential in the house, things that are useful. So I think there's couple ways that we dealt with that. I mean, eventually he saw that the way that I was decorating the home was very Krishna conscious. I mean, you can see on the wall here we have our picture frames, and I at the same time tried to be more understanding, and like whenever I was going to go buy something, think about, okay, what would Shashi think about this? Like, is it really useful? Is it going to provide you know, something good for us in our lives? Is it going to help us be more spiritual? Is it going to help us like do something to serve Krishna? So therefore that's how I dealt with it. So that's like kind of a major difference that's continuous. And I mentioned, I mean, I grew up in a very different background where my family, you know, we do buy a lot of things. They do buy a lot of things, and so I had to kind of overcome that.
In my family, like I was the second child, and I never got a new school uniform, right? Like I had an elder brother.
Yeah.
Exactly. He would always, so whatever uniform he had is what was going to be passed to me. Whatever shoes he had was going to be passed down to me, right? And it's so funny that my parents, you know, this just when I went to India this time, my parents had an exercise cycle at home because my father had some knee issues, and they wanted to exercise, and nobody has used that cycle for 15 years, and it was still lying there. And I felt like, we should throw it out. We need more space in this house. So I actually picked up the cycle and went, because I knew my parents won't do it. I went and put that cycle out in trash, and my mom, she went down and she found out where the cycle is. She kept it back. Nobody's using it, by the way. It just is about the economic background and sociological background that we came from.
Yeah, that's true. Like in India, home furniture means you will sleep on the floor, and kitchen is built in the wall, and very few furnitures. But when you come to US, you need a sofa. It's normal. They got used to it. Even bed, like in India, one wood bed, and there will be one thin mattress. And when you come to US, actually, we didn't know with my husband what it means bed. Like we bought a queen bed, and we didn't know that you need a queen bed. Inside is empty. We thought some wood will be there that we can sleep on. Then we read on Google that you need a spring box on top of it. Then we bought a spring box, and we slept on that for 2 years. And my husband started feeling, I feel my back pains all the time. Why is this? Then we found out that on top of spring box, you need a mattress to sleep. So in US, so many things are a little bit complicated.
It's funny you brought that example out, because since I came to US, I never had a bed. I was living in the ashram. I was sleeping on the floor, like what is that?
Sleeping.
Like sleeping bag, and like, in fact, not even honestly, like before moving into ashram with Naveen Neerath Prabhu, before that I used to put a cloth on the carpet, right? And I'm used to sleeping without anything, like no pillow, nothing. So that's how I used to sleep. And then Victoria came, and this was actually a contention. Like we were having a fight. I was like, why do we even need a bed? And she was like, she had eyes big, and like, why? What do you mean we need to have a bed? Like those kind of things we used to argue about. And now I realize that she has actually come a long way from where she was, and I've come a long way where I was, and meet in the middle, and we are happy about whatever we have.
Can you please tell me about your duties? Like, how do you share your duties? Who does what?
Everything.
I don't do everything. Well, yeah, I would say most of the cooking, most of the cleaning would be my responsibility, but I enjoy doing those things. So he's really lucky. No, but I like staying on top of my household chores, and we only live in 1-bedroom apartment, so right now it's not really too much work. Like if we had a house,
I don't think so. I don't think so. What about dishes? Washing dishes and all these things?
Yeah, well, he helps with the dishes, so I didn't get there yet. But when I cook, he helps to clean up the kitchen, which is extremely helpful. And he also does the laundry sometimes, so we take
Oh,
turns.
I do some.
Well, yeah, like I do laundry sometimes, he does laundry sometimes, and what?
Yes. Sometimes, like you're the one who does it. Sometimes.
No, we trade off doing the laundry. What else? Yeah, I mean, sometimes he cooks also, and he cooks really nicely. Really nice prashadam.
sometimes how often?
Like once a week.
Actually, very rarely. No, honestly, she is very all these things she likes. You know, she likes cooking, and it is not something that we have to
Yeah, we don't.
like things you share the responsibility of something that you don't like,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I like doing groceries, right? Like, I like
Okay.
going and getting groceries, and if there is some lifting and like doing laundry and stuff like that, I would be okay.
Yeah.
That is another cultural thing, actually. Since you asked about it, I grew up in India, although we had less things, but we had a lot of maids in our house,
Yeah.
right? And also, like, I grew up with my mother spoon feeding me with everything, right? Like, I was the younger child. There are advantages and disadvantages of everything, right? So being the younger child, you don't get new things, but you get access from, especially your mother, because you're the small one. Um, so my mom used to like even tie my laces. So that's how much spoiled I was. Like, if I'm going outside and putting my shoes, my mom would literally feed me with my with her hands, like in my mouth. Even right now when I go, she wants to do that.
She wants to feel needed.
Yeah. So first time when I came back from US to India, and I was like, I want to eat myself. Let me eat. And she was actually, and I was eating myself, and she was like, fine first, and then she said, you've changed a lot. We went to US, and she was feeling sad about it. So coming to that, I didn't have to do a lot of shows in my house. This was all new to me, to do a lot, like cleaning the bathroom, all these things, like doing the laundry. We don't have to do that in India, like the family I came from.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm the oldest one in my family of 6 kids. And my mom would not let me do any activities until I helped with the dishes, the laundry, I took out the trash, everything I did on my own. So we're coming from like two totally opposite sides of the spectrum, where I had like so much responsibility and him not so much. But he was responsible in other ways though. Like, he was really good in school. He got really good grades, got really good jobs, and like showed right off the bat that he was going to be very successful and move to US, and that is really scary as someone who's never really done any traveling. So I really admire him for that. He's very independent in other ways.
Yeah. So do you? I think, Victoria, you also work, isn't it? Like, how many hours do you work?
Yeah, I have a full-time job. So I work actually I work on East Coast hours. So I typically start between 7 and 8 in the morning, and then I finish up around 4 in the afternoon. Sometimes it'll go a little bit later. But yeah, it's busy. We have very busy lives.
Yeah,
So,
it's very nice to know that you actually share the duties, and whenever, like, helping kitchen cleaning, that also takes a lot of time. Actually, that's good. That Indian husband, I'm surprised.
Yeah, he helps a lot.
What are your food habits? Like, if Victoria cooks something, and does your husband like it, or you have to cook special thing for yourself or something like that?
Do you like it?
our staple food looks like khichdi in the afternoon. We tend to avoid eating in the night. We don't we like drink milk.
You don't eat any dinner?
Usually not. Like the past few months, we have not been eating anything. Like, I drink milk in the night. She also drinks some kind of milk, like not the milk, cow milk, but.
Well, let's just start off by saying we're vegetarians.
Yeah, we are vegetarians.
Even I eat. So I was vegan. Even before I was vegan, I used to eat meat in my past life and everything.
Not past life.
Not past life, but like before. But before, well, I probably was eating meat in my past life. But what I mean is, before I came to Bhakti, I was eating meat, and then I, learned about Krishna consciousness, and even before that was just took a liking to vegetarianism. So I completely went vegetarian, and then went vegan after that when I heard about just what's happening to cows, especially here in America. And then so after that, I had to learn how to cook vegetarian food, because actually the traditional American diet, or the standard American diet, SAD, is, very, very meat heavy. And that's what I grew up eating. Lots of chicken, lots of burgers, all that stuff. And I didn't know what I could even make with rice and beans. Even it's just and vegetables, they're so versatile. So then I started to learn how to cook vegetarian foods, and that was really a game changer. And it took a long time, but then I realized, like, Indian food itself has so much variety and so much taste, so much flavor. It's delicious. So learning Indian was one of the first, like, sort of vegetarian foods that I tried learning. And I love to cook so much, mainly because I like to eat. So I always was looking for recipes on Pinterest and looking on the different cookbooks. So eventually I learned, and I even watched his mom cook while we were visiting. And we talk about cooking all the time. I ask her for her advice. She seems to be really happy about that. But I'm constantly learning and constantly looking for guidance around my cooking. I don't think I'm nearly as good as a cook as he thinks I am. I'm just very grateful that he eats it.
No, honestly, she makes like typical Gujarat. I'm from Gujarat, the western part of India. And my mom, we are like Gujarati family, and there are like typical dishes, like mango kadhi, Gujarati mango kadhi. So one day my mom, we were talking to my mom, and she said, we made mango kadhi, which is your favorite. And I was just like very happy about it. And then she realized that I really liked it. That's my favorite thing. She just immediately started looking up for the recipe for mango kadhi, and she made it that weekend. She bought everything that she needed for the grocery, and she made it. And it was like, yeah, no offenses to my mother, but it was better. It was better. It was really nice. And yeah, another thing is, I don't have a lot of preferences for vegetarian food. Like anything.
He's not picky. He'll eat anything. So even things that are like, typically Italian, like pasta, pizza, salad, I cook all of those things as well, and he likes all of that.
When I was living in ashram, sometimes, after getting married, I'm very happy about that my diet is taken care of, because there I would sometimes just put rice, and I'd put some ghee on it, and some salt and pepper, and that's what I would eat so many times. So coming from there to getting so much variety. And she doesn't just cook one thing, she cooks so many things. Like it says, 3 means expand. So everything expands. Like even her number of dishes she cooks, it expands. The number of things in the house, it expands. So there is like good and plus and minuses of everything. There is like, but there's a lot of variety of the kind of food she makes. She makes everything. She makes Indian, Italian, American, and yeah, and also she makes me fat.
And she makes sure you go to gym though.
It's okay. He works out, so it's good.
That's really nice to know, and especially if Victoria is learning new Indian dishes, and you are not very specific. Like in India, if you are North Indian, only North Indian food, nothing else. Like if you are South Indian, only idli, only chutney, nothing else. But it's nice that you are like okay with any food, any food. Yeah. How are you helping each other in Krishna consciousness? Like how are you helping each other? How inspiring each other to chant and
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly it. So I have a reading group where I read Srimad Bhagavatam daily with some friends, and that's been really nourishing for me. And he supports that. He supports me chanting, and he supports, of course, offering our bhoga to Krishna, and taking prasadam. Any typical part of grihastha life in which we should be embracing Krishna. and keeping Krishna in the center. He supports, and I feel very supported by him in that way.
Yeah, actually, that was the only contention that I had before marrying Victoria, or like thinking about marrying in general. That if these basic things are in place, then other things it's like variable, right?
Mm-hmm.
What we eat does not matter as much as as long as it's prasadam. For me, the major thing is like previous to answer your previous question, like what are our eating habits. For me personally, it doesn't matter as long as we are able to do some devotional service and eat prasadam. She's very regular and she's very disciplined with everything that she does. When it comes from her, like every day she's reading Bhagavatam very so much focus, and like she doesn't like to be disturbed at all. Like if I'm asking something at 4 o'clock, 4 to 5, her call is going on, she would make her eyes big and I'm on the call, and like so and yeah, she has good company of wife of Krishna Chaitanya Anand Prabhu, and one more Mataji. They are very very dedicated people, that inspires me. From I mean, that was an inspiration for me to start Bhagavatam. I also have a Bhagavatam call every day.
Nice.
For 1 hour with two new friends that I have. I'm reading Bhagavatam with them every day for 1 hour. But yeah, I mean, she inspired me for that, because I see how their call goes and how nicely they're doing it, and that inspired me to like start doing 1 hour Bhagavatam call with my friends, so that I have a group of 3 boys who are reading. There are 3 Mataji.
Well, let me just back up and say that Shashi, he introduced me to Krishna consciousness. So if it weren't for him, then I wouldn't be here doing any of these things either. So he has really inspired me since the very beginning.
Just an instrument, nothing else.
Such a nice couple, glorifying each other.
Only on this call.
No, no. Oh, are you finding any cultural differences in each other? Like cultural, like.
Initially I did,
we have the same culture now.
We had cultural differences. Like first time when I was, I had a dhoti on, and she looked at the sheet, like, what is this bed sheet? like initially, then I think 4 years ago.
Now Victoria also wears bed sheet, I think.
Yeah, she was.
Now I wear very long, 6-yard.
And she was like, what is this? Like, and everything. Like I would put tilak on. For that, I really want to glorify, our spiritual master Radhanath Swami Maharaj, because he was an American, and how she read his book. The first book that she read, The Journey Home, was by Radhanath Swami Maharaj. So then she realized, how Maharaj actually talks about in his book, the culture shocks that people have from America. So reading that book actually prepared her for me, and it also prepared me for her. So right now we don't have any.
Now we pretty much agree on
the. Yeah, I mean, we don't have contention of like basic things, right? We have contention of whether this color or that color. You know what I mean? Like, but our basically, yeah, we don't have any cultural differences.
Can you tell me 3 things in each of you, what you love about each other?
Yeah.
You go first.
You go first.
I like a lot of things, but I have to try to condense to 3.
Yeah.
3 is a very small number. I really love her loyalty, her chastity. I mean, that covers basically everything. When she's very chaste to me, and like how devoted she is around, like I know that she would slit her throat for me, and I would do the same. But yeah, I like her chastity. I like how clean she is. How she likes everything neat and clean. She's very sattvic person. So chastity, sattvic qualities, which has so many things, right? I'm trying to condense it. Sattvic means keeping everything clean, keeping, like our bodies clean, and like in general, like a very sattvic attitude. How we sit, how we talk. And I really like her tolerance. She
Oh, I see.
really keeps up with me in so many ways. I'm very hard person to you know hard person to keep up with. Like I'm, yeah, it's very hard for people to stay with me for long. And she tolerates me a lot in everything. Like we have fights, but we come to, like we have arguments, we have fights, we have like basic how to basic grasta thing like everyone does. I know this. So we have fights, but she really is the one who takes constructive actions towards making it better when things are not working. So yeah, I mean, chastity, her sattvic qualities, and her tolerance.
That's amazing. That's nice. And the fights are part of married life. If somebody says I never fight, then we cannot believe those people.
Yeah, whenever you toss a coin, it can come heads and tails, right?
Yeah.
So you have to get both heads and tails, part and parcel.
What about you, Victor?
Well, I think just right back at him, I really appreciate his loyalty. And I said that earlier in the call, just
Yeah.
how loyal he is to me and to building our life together. We know that, or I know that no matter how many fights we have, like we'll always come back to each other. And I know like sometimes we're working through communication issues and a lot of our arguments just stem from just communication errors.
Yeah.
So we know that, and now because we know that, we're not going to take anything to heart too much, and we really appreciate each other and just always come back to each other at the end of the day. So that's one thing that I really like about him. I also really love his determination. And I say this because I'm not a very determined person. I'm kind of laid back, although I like things clean. I don't really try too hard for things in life. Whereas my husband is really working very hard and he's very determined. If he wants something, he goes and he gets it. If he wants to, reach a goal, he'll make sure he does it. And he in really all walks of like life. Like he does this when he's exercising, when he's trying to be more spiritually inclined, or like he wants to get a job, or he wants to invest in something. Like he is very determined. He does the work to get there. So I really appreciate about him. And then also he's very sensitive, but in a very good way, right? Like he sensitive in the sense that he makes friends really quickly. Like he has a heart for so many people. He reaches out to people a lot, and he also is not afraid to show his emotions, and that also helps with communication. And I love how he has like he's very sensitive about family too. So it makes me feel like, like he'll be a really good dad. He'll like just continue really like just he has a lot of really positive emotions. And by sensitive, I don't mean just that he's
sensitive to others' emotions, I think.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like he's very, very attentive to others' emotions too, and he appreciates that. I like that about him.
It looks like you were born for each other. Both of you. So compatible.
Yeah, it's crazy how it feels like, how we are so different, yet we reach the same conclusion, about major things of life.
Mm-hmm.
Please give your advice to new people. I mean, who are gonna get married, like American Indian. Like what they have to be careful of, and what they need to ask each other, and what they need to be ready to accept and compromise.
Sure. So as an American stepping into this relationship, I think it's very important to keep an open mind. That's really has helped me so much, is to think like, okay, this is the way he's been raised. This is how he likes things in the house. I just had to think, okay, it's different from the way that I've been doing things all my life, but it works. It actually makes a lot of sense. And then, of course, like we said before, we've been able to kind of come to a happy medium on a lot of things. But having an open mind really sets yourself up for success. when you can just learn and not ultimately not critique the other person, not to force your ideas or force your experiences on anybody, but on your future husband, but to instead listen and really try to understand why he does specific things, and try to kind of integrate them into your lifestyle. So open mind, I think, is a very important thing to have, as you're exploring a relationship like this.
First to decide on what exactly is something which is non-negotiable for you. Certain things like what you want to keep the center of your relationship. First, you have to choose that yourself, before making that as a something that you want to talk to your wife about, like some non-negotiables, like what is the most important thing in your life, in your relationship, and then trying to center decisions around that. And if the decisions that we make, if they're gonna take us towards that goal. So like I said, details don't matter as much, like American food or Indian food, like it has to be prasad, like that.
Oh, it's amazing talking to you both. Thank you so much. And I hope this, whatever your experience and your advice, will be helpful to new couples, like new Indians and new Americans who want to get married, Americans or whatever. So it was really helpful, and that Victoria, you love being a house, like cooking. I think for Indian men, he says that I am okay with if she doesn't cook. But I think from my husband, I know that if you don't cook, that's it. There will be fight. So nice that Victoria, you cook, and he appreciates how you keep the house clean. Prabhuji, also, you mentioned that you like his determination, and both of you are more interested in loyalty in the family. It's not like if wife is old, then find some other new person. So it's really serious things, and it's nice that when we are under the shelter of Krishna and ISKCON protects this culture, old, you have to have different enjoyment in life, spiritual enjoyment, so that you can live together until the end. So thank you so much. It was very inspiring.
Yes, I really look forward for your blessings. You and Vijay Prabhu, you are like the ideal couple that we get inspiration from. So really look forward for your blessings. Thank you so much for having us.
I think couple means like fighting all the time. So, okay, thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.